rolling back restrictions when we're seeing cases start to rise.
So this model, also says that we could save nearly 80,000 lives if 95% of Americans were to wear masks. I mean, everyone should know this by now, right? The power of the masks. But do you have much hope that more people will honor that kind of recommendation so that the numbers do stay lower as opposed to rising?
95% is quite a lofty goal. We have to look at what's going on around us right now. The Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America is not following the guidelines that have been set forth. The same guidelines that we're saying could potentially save hundreds of thousands of lives. So if the leader of our country isn't following those guidelines, how do we expect 95% of other people to follow those guidelines? What's even more sobering to think about is that the current model predicts that we will reach almost 500,000 lives lost if things stay as they are right now. We're seeing a rise in cases. So if cases continue to rise as the models are showing recently over the last 2 weeks, we've seen numbers going up. I would hate to think what that caseload could really look like.
So this also comes on the heels of a disturbing New York Times report saying the White House blocked an order from the CDC requiring masks on all public transportation. Again, this seems like common sense. And again, we're talking about close confines, that people would be on a bus, subway, etc. I mean, how frustrating is this for you as a member of the medical community to hear that urging would be pulled back?
I'm bewildered. I'm in a state of disbelief. The federal government has mishandled this pandemic from the very beginning. And just when I think it can't get any worse, there's yet another egregious display of a lack of empathy, a lack of humanity, a lack of care for the almost 214,000 lives that have been lost. There's a saying that if you play foolish games, you win foolish prizes. And I think that's what we're seeing coming out of the White House right now. I'm not surprised that they're not requiring masks and they're not listening to the CDC guidelines. We've seen Donald Trump, who recently tested positive for COVID-19, completely let the CDC guidelines fly in the wind regarding his isolation and when he should be in contact with other people. He's holding events, not wearing masks. He's going to Florida to have a rally next week. I mean, I feel as if I'm in the twilight zone here.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing for the president to say, okay, I'm going to, stick to my guns because I said this message earlier and I don't want to change my tune. But by now, the general populace should be, hip to what's real, which is the masks do save lives. And it's just astounding that there would be so many people that would be defiant just because they see the president being defiant.
Absolutely. There are a lot of people who take his words as gold. And there are a lot of people who don't look into the data and who don't research these things for themselves. And that is why Donald Trump is so very dangerous. That's why he's a threat to public health. And that's why he's a threat to national security. Because the rhetoric that he's spouting, despite it being disproven, and despite you being able to figure out that a lot of these things are not true and are lies just by doing a little bit of fact checking, there is still a large fan base of his that will believe them.
Dr. Rashina Bissett, always good to see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Fred.
Absolutely.